Good morning. It is the 2nd of September 2023. Today I'm going to have a different project in mind. I'm going to remove the power antenna, which comes out underneath the fender there. So I'll be raising the car up, removing that front wheel, and then the cover, and then pull out the antenna. This is slightly bent here on top, but not bad. I'm pretty sure the motor is still good. So I'll put that in a vise or something and straighten that out. Hopefully I won't break it, and see how that goes. Okay, car sitting up on a jack and a jack stand for extra safety. Took a quick look at the brake here. Hadn't seen it yet, and like the other side, it's got plenty of material on the brake pads and whatnot, so that's a good sign. Shock absorber bushing there is pretty worn out, so I'll put new shocks on it, somewhere down the road, and redo the whole front end, new center link, tie rod ends, all that stuff. But that's for the future. Right now, focused on this panel right here, held in place by a series of 1/2-inch size bolts that I'll take loose now, and then that whole panel will come down and expose the power antenna. Here we go. See how these things come loose. These may never have come off before, I know, owing to the car's good condition and lack of rust. It's coming off pretty easily. Nice to see. That's pretty clean. Glad to see that. Hoping that these over here come off, because these are the ones that have the nuts on the back side, and if those get rusty, that can cause a problem and make it hard to come off. But so far, coming off relatively easy. Alright, I've got the 6 bolts all removed, and they're all nice and clean, not particularly rusty, which is why they came off without protest. It's just really nice. So now the idea is just to pull this panel out of here, and as you can see, it moves easily. Just gotta work it up over the control arm here and whatnot. Get it out of the way, and there it is. It's actually nice and clean, not corroded or nasty or anything inside, so that's very gratifying to see. That aside, this little plate came off from up here with it, so I'll have to remember how to put that back on. And there's the inside, so let me grab the camera here so we can get a look together. And there you see there we go. You can see the inside is nice and clean in here, actually, so not a whole lot that holds the antenna in place. Hopefully I'm pointing to the right place here. There's a nut right here, a bolt right there, and up at the top, a couple of small nuts that hold it all in place. The antenna lead is right there, and the power right here. So all in all, pretty easy to get out of there. All right, in my hand is the power antenna motor. It came out very easily. There were 2 5/16 bolts at the top here. I only had to take out the one 3/8. I think it was 3/8. Yes, 3/8 size bolt on the bottom. That's still attached there, which is fine. I also wanted to point out a couple of other things back here. Here's the brake line, the main brake line that goes to the rear wheels, steel line here. Also 3 bolts right here that hold the steering gear in place. I actually bought a replacement set of bolts that replace the insulators that are on the other side that are always problematic. They're made out of rubber and steel, and the rubber always breaks down, which makes the steering gear always sloppy and loose on there. But I think it's John Brewer that I bought those from. He's a well-known Lincoln supplier. He came up with these kits to replace this whole assembly. They're basically just a solid brass or solid steel or something that goes on the other side, replacing the rubber bushings and replacing these bolts here. So I'm looking forward to installing those someday after I rebuild the steering gear. Also in here are the fuel lines. There's the main line coming from the tank and a return line right here. And the rubber's in good shape, although I will probably eventually replace those. Not right away, but eventually. And let's see, And that's pretty much it. Main wiring harness filters through here as well. It goes into the car. And there's another set down here for the doors and everything that goes down there. But overall, it's very nice and clean in here. I'm very pleased to see that. So next we're going to take this antenna. In order to operate it, you ground the body of the antenna to the negative side or the body of the car. And each of these leads takes positive 12 volts. One raises the antenna, the other lowers the antenna. So we're gonna hook that up next and see how this thing moves up and down. All right, I don't know how well this is gonna work, if you can hear me, but got everything set up now. The antenna is grounded. So I'm just gonna touch one of these two leads here, see what happens. Okay, it does move, it's slow, but it is extending, so that's a good sign, because it's falling too. I think you can still see it. Stand it up a little more. Now I'm going to see if it'll retract. Okay, it does. It moves real slow. That may be more because of my battery source here than anything else. The battery itself is weak, but the motor does work. So that was the main thing I wanted to illustrate here. So now I'm going to work on taking the cover off and see if I can get inside of it and lubricate it up a little bit, make it work a little better. And also I'm going to go see about straightening this up. Hopefully I don't break it in the vise. All right, here's my vise. My experience in the past has taught me that these are pretty resilient. They take a lot of abuse before they will actually break. So I'm counting on that as I tighten this vise down on it and attempt to bend at where I think the bend is naturally and then go the opposite direction. We'll see what happens. Hopefully I don't regret this. But I do need to straighten it up at least enough so that it'll slide in and out of the aerial. Otherwise it'll never fully retract. So, here we go. Here's my first attempt. Bending it. Okay, I don't even know if it moved or not. Looks like it did not. So let me pause this a second, see if I can figure out a better way to do this maybe. All right, I'm still working on this. Just trying to be careful without breaking anything here. See what happens. Okay, that's definitely better. See if I can go a little bit more. Saying prayers at the same time here that nothing breaks. Okay, that looks pretty good, if I may say so myself. I'm gonna go a little bit more. Maybe pressing my luck here a little bit, but okay. All right, that to me looks reasonably straight. It's not perfectly straight. I just noticed this looks like it's a little bent on the bottom too. This might be a little more involved than I realized. I hope I didn't just do that now. I really need someone that knows what they're doing, but so keep working it here a little bit. Okay. I think that's going to be good enough for now. I'm going to stop there and see if I can get it to retract and extend fully the way it is without having to bend anymore. All right, I took it back to the car and I was able to get the aerial fully extended and fully retracted, so that's a good sign. It means the motor's good. It's really sluggish. I don't know if that's just because of the battery or if I just need to take the motor apart and clean it like I was planning anyway, but I noticed when the aerial here is fully extended, you can see it's pretty crooked. So I'm going to continue to see if I can straighten it up a little bit more, even though it does go in and out all the way. I'm going to see if I can help it out a little bit more and pray that I don't break something in the process, because right now it is working, even though the aerial's bent at the top there quite a bit. All right, it's a lot straighter than it was, I think. It's not perfectly straight, but I think it'll do the trick. I don't want to play with it anymore. Just I'm afraid I'll break it if I keep trying. So I'm happy with straightening it out as much as I did. Now I'm going to go retract it and then take the cover off right here. There's two little, probably 3/8 size nuts holding the cover on, and see if I can get this apart and maybe lubricate it inside the motor or something, see if that helps it move a little better. All right, I took the cover loose and I realized when I took it apart that I don't think there's anything in there really that I want to mess with. It looks very clean. So I'm not going to spray anything in there or touch anything in here, because that's the heart of the motor. I'm just going to carefully put it back together. And then right here, there's 3 little bolts that hold this cover on. I'm going to pull that off and see if there's something I can lubricate in there. If not, then that's going to be it. I mean, the antenna works, goes up slowly, comes down slowly. I really think it's just a matter of the power supply being weak. All right, this is ready to get to gain from my painful mistakes. There really wasn't anything to gain by taking this shaft over the top of the aerial there, the antenna itself. Wasn't anything to gain, nothing to see in there. Really, all you can really do is just lubricate the shaft on the outside, as far as I can tell, which was probably all it needed. The bad thing is, in my zeal to get this off, I accidentally pulled this apart. This is the lead that you know, that connects to your antenna. Goes like that. Well, actually it goes the other way. This goes first. This part that came out goes inside there. So what I'm going to have to do to get this back together, once I put the shaft back on the outside, poke the wire through the hole in the side, which is right there, then put this plastic piece back on. I'll just drop some solder in there or something. I'm sure that's all it needs. So it could have been worse, I suppose. In fact, I almost wish it had just come off right there instead of where it did, but it didn't. So anyway, I'm just going to put this back together and solder that back in there and call it good. All right, hardly scientific, hardly professional, but I think it'll do. It seems to be holding at least as well as it did originally, so I'm just going to push this back inside the cavern here, or the opening. Hopefully not knock it loose again while we're at it. Okay, and then I'm just going to put the two screws that held it in place in the first place back on there, and there we go. And I'll test it in the car, make sure I'm still getting reception with the old-fashioned AM radio that's in the car, and that works. So it's just a matter of putting these little screws back on. These are 1/4 inch size, by the way. Didn't already know that. And then that'll complete my work with this power antenna, which I mainly just wanted to get making sure it operated and fully extended and fully retracted, which it does now. So I'm going to go put it back in the car. All right, we're sitting inside the car now. I'm actually got the antenna reinstalled. That doesn't take long. So we're going to turn power on to the car, use the buttons on the radio to raise the antenna. Let's see if this works. Ha! It doesn't work. That's disappointing. That means I'm going to have to, maybe because I don't really have much wiring installed under the hood. So I guess I'm going to have to raise the antenna manually, bringing the wiring around to there somehow. See how I get that done. All right, here's what I learned. It does work. There was a burned out fuse over there in the fuse panel. It just happened to be the one for the power antenna. And pressing the up button here, you can see that it is moving just as slow as it was when I was testing it. But it is working. So I'm just going to go ahead and raise it all the way since we're doing this anyway. Takes a while. Oh, that baby's tall. Okay, it's up all the way. Let's see if the radio comes on now. AM. There it is.
Well known he is. But one of the things that a lot of people don't know about him is that when he was a young...
I think that shows that I did manage to get the lead connected, so I'm going to lower this all the way back down now, stow it, assuming I can get it to stow. Ha! I may have to take it down manually or leave it up, because the down button, oh, it would help if I turned the ignition back on. I tell you what, I'm a little slow, people. And there it goes. Slow, but it is working. I still have to think that once I get a better power source on the car someday, that's going to move a little faster. Because obviously that's not normal to go that slow and that quietly, but it does work. That's the main thing. And it goes all the way down. Success. Now all I got to do is put the splash shield back on, put it all back together, and that takes care of that project. All right, car's back together. Well, as far as it was before anyway. Antenna is now fully retracted, which will come in real handy for winter months because I'll keep the car cover on it, and this was in the way before. So that part's done. I'm just deciding whether I want to attack another project today or call it a day. We'll see.